Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and realizing that the way you have been feeling, every worry, every burst of joy, every quiet moment of gratitude, has been silently shaping the reality you are living right now. This isn't just a poetic idea or a comforting thought, it's a radical truth supported by both ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science. Your emotions are not random byproducts of your life. They are the signals you continuously send out to the universe, and the universe, like a faithful mirror, sends you back experiences that match those emotional signals. The question is, are you aware of what you're broadcasting? Most of us are not. We live on autopilot, thinking the same thoughts we did yesterday, feeling the same feelings we felt last week, and then wondering why nothing in our lives really changes. We look around and blame our job, our relationships, or the economy for why we feel stuck. But what if the truth is much more empowering and much more confronting? What if it is not life that is making us feel this way, but our own inner state that is continuously recreating the same life over and over again? This is where the journey gets exciting, because if our emotional state is the generator of our reality, then learning to shift that state becomes the single most important thing we can do. Think about it. If fear and doubt are tuning us into a version of reality where opportunities feel scarce and problems seem constant, then choosing gratitude or joy, even before anything changes, tunes us into a different version of reality, one where synchronicities, solutions, and inspired ideas seem to appear out of nowhere. That is not fantasy, that is the science of resonance at work. Right now you may feel like life is happening to you. Maybe you've been trying to manifest a change, a new relationship, more financial abundance, better health, but no matter how many affirmations you say or vision boards you make, nothing seems to shift. You may even feel discouraged, wondering if manifestation is just a nice idea that works for some people, but not for you. If that's you, take a deep breath and stay with me, because what you are about to discover could change everything. The missing piece is not how clearly you visualize, but how powerfully you feel. Emotion is the engine that drives manifestation. I want you to imagine your life like a movie playing on a giant screen. The images, the characters, the storyline, all of it seems so real, but behind it all is a projector. That projector is your inner state. Every time you think a thought, it stirs a feeling in your body, and that feeling becomes an electromagnetic signal sent out into the quantum field. The field, which contains infinite possibilities, reads your signal and begins organizing matter, people, and circumstances to match it. When you keep sending out the same emotional broadcast, you keep getting the same movie over and over again. But here's the good news. You are not stuck with the old reel. You can change the projector, you can choose a new emotional state, and over time watch the scenes of your life begin to shift to match it. This is the secret most people miss, not just in spirituality, but in personal development as a whole. We try to change things on the surface, we set goals, we work harder, we rearrange the external furniture of our lives. But unless we change the emotional state that underlies all of it, we end up recreating the same results in slightly different packaging. In this video, we are going to go deep into the hidden connection between emotion and the quantum field, and we will do it step by step. We will first explore the fascinating science of how emotions are literally signals that shape the field around you. Then we'll uncover why most of us are unconsciously stuck in emotional loops that keep us trapped in the same reality, and how to finally break those loops. From there we'll move into the most exciting part, how to deliberately use emotion as a tool for creation, so that you are no longer waiting for life to give you a reason to feel good, you become the reason. This is not about bypassing your pain, or pretending to be happy when you're not. This is about becoming deeply conscious of your inner world, and using that awareness to shift from being a victim of circumstance, to being a deliberate creator of your life. By the time we finish, you will not only understand why your emotions matter, but you will have practical ways to use them to open up new possibilities in your reality, possibilities that are waiting for you right now in the quantum field. So if you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever wondered why your manifestations aren't coming, or if you've ever sensed deep down that there is more to life than just reacting to whatever comes your way, then stay tuned. This is where the journey begins. Together, we're going to unlock the secret link between emotion and the quantum field, and once you see it, you won't be able to look at your life the same way again. To truly understand how powerful your emotions are, we must first step into the mysterious yet fascinating world of the quantum field. The quantum field is not some distant abstract idea, it is the invisible fabric of reality that surrounds and permeates everything. It is a sea of pure potential, where every possible version of your life already exists as a probability wave, waiting for your attention and energy to bring it into form. This is not wishful thinking. Physicists have been studying the quantum world for decades, discovering that at the smallest level, particles do not exist as fixed things until they are observed. They exist as possibilities. And this is where you come in, because you are the observer. Your thoughts and emotions are not confined to your body. They radiate beyond you, like a signal broadcast into this universal field. Every time you have a feeling, whether it is frustration, hope, or love, your heart generates an electromagnetic wave that can be measured several feet outside of your physical body. The brain produces electrical impulses too, but the heart's field is much stronger and more influential. When your thoughts and emotions are coherent, meaning they are aligned and working together, they send out a clear, powerful signal that interacts with the quantum field in a very specific way. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you are tuned to a station of fear, you receive a reality that matches fear, more reasons to worry, more situations that confirm your anxious expectations. If you are tuned to gratitude or love, you receive experiences that reflect that frequency. Opportunities appear, helpful people show up, coincidences begin to unfold that guide you toward your desire. This is not magic, it is resonance. The universe responds to what you are, not just what you say you want. Now here's the subtle but crucial distinction. Most people try to change their reality by changing their thoughts, but they overlook the emotional component. They say affirmations, visualize their goals, or repeat mantras, but deep down, they still feel doubtful, fearful, or unworthy. And so even though they are thinking new thoughts, their emotional broadcast is still tuned to the old station. The quantum field does not respond to the word. It responds to the signal of the heart. This is why emotion is the secret key. A thought without emotion is like a weak signal. It barely reaches beyond the surface of your mind. But a thought charged with emotion becomes magnetic. It has the power to influence not only your biology but the field around you. You have probably experienced this in your own life. Think of a time when you were deeply in love or profoundly grateful, and how in those moments life seemed to flow effortlessly. You met the right people, opportunities opened, and even little synchronicities made you smile. That is the quantum field reflecting back the signal you were sending. Science is beginning to confirm what mystics have taught for centuries. Studies show that when people practice elevated emotions like gratitude or compassion, their heart rhythms become coherent, which positively affects brain function, hormones, and even the immune system. This state of coherence is not just a healthy state for the body, it is a creative state for the mind. It's as if your whole being is saying to the universe, "This is who I am," and the universe responds by aligning you with experiences that match that state. But what about the opposite? What about emotions like anger, guilt, or shame? These too are signals, but they broadcast a chaotic, incoherent message. When we dwell in these states for long periods, we are essentially telling the quantum field to bring us more experiences that keep us feeling angry, guilty, or ashamed. And so we end up in repeating loops that confirm our identity. See, life really is this hard. The field is not judging you, it is simply reflecting you. This is where the power of awareness comes in. Once you realize that your emotional state is not just a private, internal experience but a creative act, you can begin to take responsibility for it. You are no longer a victim of circumstance, you are a participant in the dance of creation. The old self may want to keep blaming the outside world, but the new self sees the pattern and asks, "What am I broadcasting right now? And what reality is that tuning me into?" Another way to picture this is to imagine the quantum field as a field of infinite doors, each leading to a different version of your life. Your emotional state is the key that opens one of those doors. If you are in a state of fear, you open the door that leads to more experiences that reinforce fear. If you are in a state of empowerment and love, you open a door that leads to experiences that confirm empowerment and love. The doors were always there. The only thing that changed was the key you were holding. And here is the beautiful part, you can change the key at any moment. You can shift your emotional state now, regardless of what is happening in your external world. This is not about denying your pain or suppressing your feelings, it is about becoming conscious of them and learning how to elevate them. When you do this, you begin to see evidence that reality is responding. At first it may be small, a kind message from a friend, a sudden solution to a problem you were worried about, a moment of clarity about what step to take next. But the more you practice staying in this elevated emotional state, the more powerful your broadcast becomes, and the bigger the changes you begin to see. The science of emotion and the quantum field gives us something profound, proof that we are not powerless. We are not doomed to repeat the past. We are not at the mercy of external forces. Instead, we are vibrational beings interacting with a living, intelligent field that is always listening, always responding, always ready to match the frequency we are sending. The moment we choose to feel differently, even before anything changes, we set in motion a cascade of new possibilities. This is why understanding the science is so important. It moves these ideas out of the realm of mere inspiration and into the realm of practical empowerment. You no longer have to hope that life will get better someday. You can begin to change the movie today by changing the projector, your emotional state. And once you see this connection, you begin to realize that you are far more powerful, far more creative, and far more connected to the universe than you ever imagined. Now that you understand how your emotions are constantly broadcasting a signal into the quantum field, the next question becomes, why is it so hard to change? Why, even after reading books, watching videos, and practicing affirmations, do we still slip back into the same emotional states of fear, frustration, or self-doubt? The answer lies in emotional conditioning. Most of us are living as a reflection of our past, rather than a creation of our future. Our brain and body have been programmed, often for years or decades, to feel in a certain way, and we have been unconsciously rehearsing those feelings day after day until they have become our identity. Think about it. When something challenging happens, you probably react in a very familiar way. You might feel angry, anxious, or hopeless, and then your mind quickly justifies why you are feeling that way. This creates a loop. Thought triggers feeling. Feeling triggers more of the same thoughts, and together they create actions and behaviors that produce the same results in your life. Over time, this loop becomes a kind of emotional autopilot. You wake up in the morning, and without even realizing it, you are already thinking about yesterday. You might remember a stressful conversation, worry about an unfinished task, or anticipate a problem that might occur today. Your body feels the emotions of stress before the day has even begun, and your mind, detecting that feeling, searches for reasons to explain it. In that moment, you are no longer creating life, you are reliving it. This is why so many people feel stuck. They are not actually living in the present moment. They are living in a memory of the past projected into the future. They are rehearsing their problems over and over, until those problems become part of who they think they are. I'm just an anxious person. I'm just unlucky in love. I'm just not good with money. These are not truths. They are repeated emotional programs, and like any program, they can be rewritten. But first we must become aware. Awareness is the light that reveals the program running in the background. You cannot change what you are not aware of. So the first step is to simply notice. Notice how you feel throughout the day. Notice when you are slipping into an emotional state that is tied to an old story. Notice how quickly the mind rushes in to justify it. Of course I feel angry. That person cut me off in traffic. Of course I feel worried. I have bills to pay. These justifications are what keep the old state alive. The key is to pause, take a breath. In that pause, you have interrupted the cycle. Even if just for a moment, you are no longer fully identified with the emotion, you are observing it. That single act of observation is powerful, because the observer is where your true power lies. From there, you can begin to choose differently. But here's something you must know. Your body may resist at first. If you have been feeling a certain way for a long time, your body has actually become chemically addicted to that state. Stress hormones, like cortisol and adrenaline, become familiar, and when you start to change, your body may send signals to the brain that say, "This doesn't feel right. Go back to what we know." You might suddenly feel uncomfortable or anxious for no clear reason. This is simply the old self, trying to pull you back into the known, because the known, even if it's painful, feels safer than the unknown. This is where courage comes in. You must remind yourself that discomfort is not a sign that you are failing, it is a sign that you are breaking the cycle. You are literally rewiring your brain and reconditioning your body to a new emotional state, and that takes repetition, patience, and self-compassion. Let's make this practical. Imagine you catch yourself feeling overwhelmed about your future. Instead of unconsciously spiraling into worst-case scenarios, you pause. You breathe deeply into your heart and simply acknowledge, "I am feeling fear." You allow yourself to feel it without judgment. Then you consciously choose a different state. You might place your hand on your chest and recall a moment when you felt safe or grateful. You focus on that memory until the feeling of gratitude starts to rise in your body. In that moment, you are no longer broadcasting fear into the field, you are broadcasting gratitude. You have stepped out of the old emotional program and into a new one. This practice might feel small at first, but it is profound. Every time you interrupt the cycle and choose a new emotion, you are teaching your brain and body a new way of being. Over time, this becomes easier. The neural pathways that supported the old emotional loop begin to weaken, and the new pathways grow stronger. The body, which was once addicted to stress hormones, begins to crave the chemistry of peace and joy instead. This is neuroplasticity in action, your brain's ability to change based on your focus and intention. And here's something truly beautiful: as you begin to break the cycle, your external life will start to shift. The same old triggers that used to throw you off balance will lose their power over you. You will notice yourself responding differently, choosing differently, and therefore creating different results. People around you may even notice and comment that you seem calmer, lighter, or more magnetic. This is because you are no longer unconsciously recreating the past, you are consciously creating the future. Breaking free from emotional conditioning is not about becoming a perfectly positive person who never feels pain or anger. Those emotions are natural and have their place. It is about becoming the master of your state rather than its slave. It is about realizing that you always have a choice in how you respond, even when you cannot control what happens outside of you. This is the turning point in the journey. This is where the old self begins to dissolve. The version of you that was addicted to stress, that kept rehearsing the same painful stories, that thought life was something happening to you, that version begins to lose its grip. In its place, a new self is born. A self that is aware, empowered, and connected to the field of infinite possibility. When you break the cycle of emotional conditioning, you step into a space of freedom. You are no longer limited by who you were yesterday. You can decide who you want to be today and tomorrow. And when you consistently choose elevated emotions, you begin to tune into new realities that were always available to you, but invisible when you were stuck in the old broadcast. The journey is not always easy, but it is worth it. Every time you interrupt the old loop, you reclaim a piece of your power. Every time you choose gratitude over fear, you move closer to the life you desire. And with practice, this becomes less of a struggle and more of a natural way of being. You become someone who naturally radiates coherence, someone who naturally attracts experiences that match your elevated state. And that is when life begins to feel miraculous, not because the universe has changed, but because you have. Now that you know how to break the cycle of emotional conditioning, you are ready for the most powerful step, learning to use emotion deliberately to create the future you desire. This is where transformation moves, from insight into practice. It is one thing to understand that your emotions broadcast a signal to the quantum field, but it is another thing entirely to consciously choose and sustain an elevated emotional state, especially when the external world has not yet given you a reason to feel that way. This is the secret that separates passive dreamers from true creators. At any given moment, there are infinite possibilities for how your life could unfold. Imagine them as parallel paths radiating out from where you stand. Some of those paths lead to more of the same, more stress, more struggle, more repetition of the past. Others lead to the future you have been yearning for. The new job, the deeper relationship, the financial freedom, the health and vitality you dream of. All those futures already exist as potentials in the quantum field. What determines which one you step into is the energy you are embodying right now. To collapse a possibility into reality means to choose it with such clarity and emotional conviction that it becomes the most likely path for the universe to organize around. Your job is not to figure out how it will happen. Your job is to become the version of you who already lives in that reality. That is what sends the clearest signal to the field. Let's take a practical example. Suppose you want to manifest a new career opportunity. Most people focus on the lack. They feel frustrated, stuck, or worried about money. These emotions, though understandable, are broadcasting the message, "I am without opportunity," into the field. The field, being impartial, keeps returning evidence that confirms that state. More waiting, more closed doors. The shift comes when you stop waiting for the external change to make you feel different and start generating the feeling first. Close your eyes and imagine what it would feel like to have that career breakthrough already. Picture yourself walking into your new office or receiving the congratulatory message. Notice the pride in your chest, the gratitude swelling in your heart, the sense of freedom and relief. Hold that emotional state for as long as you can. Even if it's only for a minute or two at first, that is enough to begin changing your signal. Each time you do this, you are rehearsing a new future and conditioning your body to feel as though it has already happened. This is not daydreaming. This is deliberate, emotional practice. The more often you practice, the more familiar this elevated state becomes. Your body, which was once addicted to stress, begins to expect and crave the chemistry of joy, gratitude, and empowerment instead. And soon, something remarkable begins to happen. Your external reality starts to shift to match your internal state. Unexpected opportunities arrive. Conversations take place that move you closer to your dream. What once seemed like coincidence now feels like alignment. One of the most powerful tools you can use here is gratitude. Gratitude is a signal of completion, a declaration that something has already been received. When you give thanks for a future event, as if it has already occurred, you are collapsing that possibility into the present. You are telling the field, I already am this person. This is already true for me. The field then works to match that truth, but sustaining this state can be challenging. The external world may try to pull you back into old habits and fears. This is why you must practice daily, like strengthening a muscle. You can begin your mornings with a few minutes of deep breathing, focusing on your heart, and bringing up an elevated emotion, gratitude, love, joy, for no reason other than to generate it. You can end your day by visualizing the life you are stepping into and feeling thankful for it. Another key is to embody the change with your actions. If you are broadcasting the signal of abundance, act like someone who trusts in abundance. That might mean being more generous, speaking with more confidence, or taking bold steps that align with your vision. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions are all congruent, your signal becomes incredibly powerful and coherent. It's also important to release attachment to the outcome. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop trying to control the exact way your desire will appear. The quantum field is infinitely more intelligent than the rational mind. Often, what you receive will be better than what you imagined, because it comes from a higher perspective. Your job is to stay in the state, trust the process, and follow the intuitive nudges that arise along the way. You will know you are succeeding when you start to notice synchronicities, a chance encounter, a random email, a sudden inspiration. These are signs that the field is rearranging reality to match your broadcast. The old self might call it luck, but the new self knows it is alignment. The more you notice and celebrate these signs, the more they multiply. Over time, living in this elevated emotional state becomes your new normal. You stop chasing manifestations because you are already living in the energy of them. And ironically, this is often when the manifestations come faster, because you are no longer in a state of lack, waiting for something outside of you to complete you. You have become whole first, and reality has no choice but to reflect that wholeness back to you. This is the heart of conscious creation. It is not about forcing the universe to give you what you want. It is about aligning yourself so completely with the energy of what you desire that receiving it becomes natural and effortless. You become the cause, not the effect. You stop waiting for life to change before you feel good, and you begin to feel good first, knowing that life must eventually catch up. Every time you choose an elevated emotion in the face of doubt, you are training your brain and body to trust the unknown. Every time you visualize and feel your desired reality as if it is already here, you are instructing the quantum field to bring that reality into form. And every time you take aligned action from that state, you are stepping into the future you have been dreaming about. This is not about perfection. There will be days when you fall back into fear or frustration. That is normal. The key is to notice it quickly, pause, and realign. Each time you return to the elevated state, you reinforce the new program. Over time, the old state loses its grip, and you find yourself living in a new reality, one that you created, not by accident, but by design. You have now walked through an incredible journey, one that began with understanding that your emotions are not just fleeting inner experiences, but the very signals that shape the world around you. We explored how most of us live, trapped in unconscious loops, repeating the same emotional patterns and therefore recreating the same life. We learned that by becoming aware of those patterns, interrupting them, and choosing new elevated emotional states, we can literally tune into a new version of reality. And finally, we discovered that we have the power to use our emotions deliberately, to embody the future we desire before it even arrives, and by doing so, to collapse infinite possibilities into the one we have chosen. Take a moment and really let that truth sink in. You are not just a passive participant in life, you are a co-creator. Every thought you think and every emotion you feel is like a vote for the version of reality you want to experience. You do not have to wait for the world to give you permission to feel joy, to feel gratitude, to feel love. You can generate those feelings now, and in doing so you call forth a future that matches them. This is where the journey becomes deeply personal. The information you've just heard is not meant to stay as inspiration in your mind. It is meant to become a practice, a way of being. Imagine if starting tomorrow, you devoted just 5 minutes a day to breathing deeply, focusing on your heart, and generating the emotion of gratitude, as if the life you desire were already here. Imagine if every time you felt yourself slipping into fear, you paused and chose to shift your emotional state, rather than feeding the old pattern. Imagine if you lived this way for a week, a month, a year. How different would your life look? You are far more powerful than you have been led to believe. The quantum field is listening right now, waiting for your signal. All you need to do is send it a clear, coherent message through your elevated emotion, and then trust the process. Watch for the synchronicities, follow the inspired ideas, and allow reality to surprise you. If this message has resonated with you, I invite you to take action today. Share in the comments what new emotional state you are committing to practice. Start small, but start now. And if you want more deep dives into topics like this, where science meets spirituality and theory becomes transformation, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next step in this journey. Remember, your life is not something that is happening to you, it is something that is happening through you. Every moment is another chance to choose, another chance to feel differently, another chance to create. The secret link between emotion and the quantum field is no longer a secret. You hold it in your hands right now. The question is, what reality will you choose to create next?